Kill the Stigma podcast is not affiliated with any company, group, or entity. There are currently no approved uses for kratom by the FDA. Anything heard here is solely for educational purposes and should not be taken as medical advice. We will be going into detailed accounts of addiction that might be disturbing to some viewers. Therefore, viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the Kill the Stigma podcast. I am the one and only Evan Garcia. With me, as always, is my co-host, my baby big brother, Ivan Garcia. Say what's up, man.
The second half.
The second half. And today, man, we have a really special guest, a guy who I've known for quite some time now, a guy with a really deep story. From the moment I met you, man, we started talking about what you'd been through, man. I knew there was something special about you, and your story's wild, bro. Your story's wild, and so I'm really excited to get the people in on this to hear what you have to say, bro. Seriously, thank you for being here, bro.
I'm glad to be here again. It's an honor.
Absolutely, man, absolutely.
So let's just hop right into it. Mike has prepared for us a couple things to say. We're going to start off with that. He's taken the time to prepare this for us, get us something nice, get his thoughts together. After that, we'll get into the regular show.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mike, and I'm a success story, and I hope this testimony will at least inspire one person to be able to change and reach their potential. I was born in Dallas, Texas, to a Russian father and a German mother. Growing up was a difficult time for me. My father was abusive when he was not working. He was at home isolating and drinking. He never told any of us that he loved us. When he was around any of us, he would either be yelling or beating the shit out of us. I still remember he tried to shoot at my mother. Needless to say, but by the time I turned 11, my mom and dad divorced, definitely for the better. Never had a relationship with that man, and sadly never will. I do thank God I have such an awesome grandma and mom. If it weren't for my mom's love and my grandma's spiritual guidance, I would not be sitting here today. By the time I turned 13, I started smoking weed and drinking. I started hanging out in the wrong crowd. By the time I turned 15, I started doing meth quite regularly until I turned 17 and I discovered heroin. Up until that moment in my life, that drug was the best feeling I had ever felt. I knew at that moment I would steal or hurt anyone as long as I could get my fix. I originally started doing cheese. One night, I was staying at a dealer's house and I didn't have any pills. I needed my fix. No pills, but plenty of needles. So what did I do? I drew me up a rig and I hit myself. Now, I was hooked before, but now I'm a full-fledged fanatic. I had lost so much already, but now I just didn't care even if I lost my life. I've always kept an open relationship with my real Father in heaven. Truly, I tell you, if I didn't have God in my life, I guarantee you I would not be sitting here today.
Let's go.
3 years ago, God just gave me the willpower, and I said, if I'm going to beat this, I need to move from Texas. So I did. Now, at that time, I was still a big weed smoker, so I told myself, Colorado it is. I have not messed with anything hard since a week before moving from Texas. I've always known about kratom, and it is truly a miracle plant. I love how I can take it, and it helps me with pain, but also you don't have to come down with it. I remember doing heroin, and when I would come down on that, I'd become a cranky asshole. Kratom does not do that. It has helped me to quit vaping, smoking weed, and drinking. The only thing I do is kratom drink in the morning and one in the afternoon. I've had a torn rhomboid, a herniated disc, pinched nerves, and the hospital won't give you anything. So kratom is truly a blessing. It keeps my pain at bay, and I'm able to function properly and take care of business. Just like many things, it is best to use responsibly. There are days I take a little bit more than others, but I always make sure to reset myself. You know life can be dark and lonely at times, but as long as you're willing to fight, there's always hope. I promise this is coming from an individual who was lost and homeless at one time, but it never has to stay that way. We are the makers of our way. How we go about that way is up to us. Thank you so much for letting me share. May God bless, and may you continue finding your way, and may this help someone.
Well done, bro. I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing
Yes,
that,
sir.
man.
Powerful stuff.
Powerful stuff, man. Wait, that's how you open up a show. Let's kind of take that apart piece by piece. Again, where did you say you were from?
Dallas, Texas.
Dallas, Texas. And how old are you?
31.
31 years old. All right, man. What was your upbringing like? How were you raised? What was it like around Mike's house?
I really didn't like staying at the house. Thank God, my grandparents, they lived right next door. So many times, if I could, I would try to go over there just because it wasn't friendly at my house with my father around. When he wasn't around and my mother was around, I would love to be around my mother and I would hang out with my mother. But as soon as my father was around, I'd either go into my room or I'd go over to my grandparents just because of being, in fear that, he'd snap again.
Did your father have any substance abuse issues?
Oh yeah, he drank. And he was a very violent man. I remember when hearing from my grandfather, his dad, that when he was 16, he tried to strangle his dad.
Dang.
He's never been a good man, and I thank God, the day that they finally did divorce, because that's the first time that I did have some peace. But I knew at the same time I was kind of broken because,
It's your dad, man.
yeah, I didn't have, the full family no more. And there was a lot of questioning, at that age. I questioned, was it me, that was wrong, And
Understandably so.
I didn't have that love and fulfillment from a father figure. So I started using.
And that had to be terrible, like as humans, man, we are raised with this need for love from our parents, dude. So I can't imagine if, like that's built into us. So if you don't have that, I can imagine how traumatizing and how far back that could set a kid and how bad it could screw with them mentally. You said that you remember the time when your dad tried to shoot your mother. Would you be able to go into that a little bit more with us?
Yeah, it was one night we came back and
He was drinking,
wanted.
I'm assuming?
Yeah, oh yeah. He wanted me to give him a hug. So I went to give him a hug and he was not letting go of me. And I mean, it was minute after minute. And I started freaking out because I'm like, he's just holding me and I can't get away. And my mother was pleading with him like crazy. Well, finally, she gets me out of the house. He has a gun already. He's shot into the ground before.
Belligerent drunk.
Yes, he's shot into the carpet before we arrive. Bullet hole in the ground already. So I'm freaking out. Finally, she gets me over to my grandparents, me and my brother. And before she is able to get out of the house, he tries to shoot at her. Thank God it hit a flower pot and did not hit her. But he had a standoff with the Garland police for a good hour. And after that, the only thing that happened to him is he had to go to a mental institute for a little bit. And then my poor mother, being the good woman that she is, went to go get him out again, knowing full well that that was not the right choice. But, she was scared too, if he gets out and I don't get him out, what's he going to do next?
Right.
It was very scary with him, Evan.
So a toxic relationship between your dad and your mom.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'd never seen them be romantic with each other or anything,
It was always negative.
Yes. If he wasn't in the garage, drinking, he'd be inside just finding something to raise hell about. I remember we were leaving Galveston one day because me and my brother, we were like little kids at the time, and we were wanting to jump around on the bed. And he said, if y'all keep jumping, we are leaving from here. And we had just been there 2 days, and we were supposed to be there for a whole week. Me and my brother, nothing else to do. We want to play around. So
kids.
we continue jumping, and he fucking freaks out, tells everybody that we're leaving. Well, I start crying. I have to sit in the front seat with him. And he tells me if I do not stop crying, he's going to hit me. And that freaked me out even more. And, I'm like, freaking out. And he fucking just slugs me in the face, just like, hey, like just straight over to the seat, just slugs me, and that fucked me up, man. I remember there'd be times, Evan, that he would beat the living shit out of us, man. And my mom would be so fearful she wouldn't send us to daycare because she'd be worried if they seen that, we'd be taken away. He would keep us in our rooms, and if he would hear us crying in there, he'd come in there and fucking beat us some more. And it was hell, man. I truly was happy finally when they did split, but yeah, at the same time, it did fuck me up, man.
It's tough to even listen to that. I think that it's important, the conversations that we're trying to have, that like, your upbringing was a lot different than, let's say, Evan's upbringing. 100%. And I think that speaks to the fact that it doesn't matter what your childhood life is like.
Background is.
People come from all walks of life, and at some point, a lot of people do turn to these substances. How do you think that upbringing kind of like played into your like early addiction history?
When I was 13, I started, messing with weed and drinking. And the reason that I think I started messing with that is because, I finally felt a love, I finally felt happiness. I knew any time that I would use that substance, it was instant gratification,
Right.
and I would forget about, all the bullshit and everything in life.
It's a coping mechanism.
Yes, exactly. I just ran with it, just I was like, finally I have something that makes me happy and makes me not give a shit about anything else.
And at that age too, you don't have the foresight to think like maybe this is bad for me down the road. Right now, you're just thinking about the right now.
Exactly.
The immediate relief that it gives you right then and there.
You feel that isolation, especially from your parent. Somebody that's supposed to take care of you, somebody supposed to love you. You're gonna find it somewhere else. And at the time, the repercussions mean little to very nothing.
Right. You don't think about it.
And so you're just thinking about right now.
No, 100%. So you're smoking, drinking. When did it progress to the harder stuff?
A couple years after that, I was 15. An acquaintance of mine was staying down the street at a hotel with his mother. He asked me what I was up to. I told him, I had some dro and stuff. He was like, well, do you want to come over and do some meth? The type of individual that I've always been is I'm always looking for that next thing, I went over there and, that blew my mind. And from that point on, I was like, I want to do this some more. and started staying with him and his mother a lot. The way we got it was she had a connection, and she'd always be willing to smoke with us and give us a little bit. And at that time, a little bit went a long way.
Right.
So did meth for a while.
Okay, so at what point when you started doing meth, was it an everyday thing? Was it a sporadic thing, and then did it like ramp up a little bit more?
In the beginning, like, I would binge here and there, but then I would have moments that I wouldn't mess with it, but I would still then go back to drinking and smoking and stuff.
You never like sobered up.
Yes,
100%.
exactly.
But at that point, meth hadn't had its hook in you. When did it start to progress a little bit more?
I think when I just started needing more, when the little bit wasn't doing it no more. At the same time, when you're doing stuff like that, it messes with you. When you do more and more, it's like then you have to do more and more, because when you're not doing it, it's like your brain is so depleted from doing it that it's like, okay, the only way that I'm going to feel better now is to keep doing it. So then I kept doing it.
That was kind of like my next question too, was like, did there come a point where like it just straight up like it wasn't enjoyable anymore? It was just something you were doing to stay baseline, or did it still kind of have that like allure to it that was like fun, quote unquote?
I mean, it lost its fun really quickly, but it definitely always had its use though. If I was not getting, super geeked, I knew that at least I was changing my mind. And that was at least, always would take off, the next feeling of feeling bad or feeling down. It was that escape, Yes, exactly.
You were so in pain, you were so unhappy with what was going on in your life that even if it wasn't the greatest place, it was somewhere else.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, meth did it for a while.
Did you get into any legal troubles during this time, or not yet?
Shortly after that, I was about 19 at the time, and I was living in Garland then at the time, and I had just got an apartment, but it wasn't furnished or anything. And met a few people there. We were drinking, doing coke.
You got no furniture, but you got a shit ton of drugs. That sounds about right, bro.
It was ass
backwards. An ottoman, but that's awesome.
Sit on the floor here right quick.
Yeah, I at least had the kitchen counter, so we'd be hanging around. But no chairs or nothing,
That came stocked.
Yeah. He was like, man, if you really want to get your place furnished, we know a couple people that used to sell drugs that lived underneath you, but they got arrested.
Like your neighbors downstairs?
Yes.
No
yes,
way.
Like literally right underneath. Well, rule number 1, you never do pull a crime of a place that you live
Don't
at.
shit where you eat, bro.
Yeah.
That's damn.
But I was really wet behind the ears then still as a little kid, and just you thought I knew everything, but honestly didn't know jack shit. So we ended up kicking down the door. Took furniture out of there, neighbors and stuff were looking like, this isn't maintenance. We were so fucked up at the time, we didn't care, we were like,
what could go wrong?
Yeah, I was like, we're getting furniture, this is all that matters right now. I had the furniture for a day, one night, and the next day I'm going by there and I see a coffee table, and the real maintenance is in there, they're cleaning it out, and I see this coffee table, and I'm like, hey man, I really like this coffee table, I just live upstairs, can I just grab it and take it upstairs? He's like, well, no, you're going to have to get it from the dumpster later. Well, probably an hour or two later, he comes up there with the coffee table. I didn't think about it, but opened the door, and he's like, here's the coffee table, but then looks at the furniture, looks at me, looks back at the furniture, and then looks at me. I don't think nothing of it at the time until 2 minutes later when a Garland police officer and the manager are there. And I'm like, damn, he's seen it. Of course, I confess to it because, I'm caught
You got
red-handed.
greedy, bro. You got greedy. You should have just been happy with the furniture that you stole from downstairs. Screw that
Yeah,
coffee table, bro. Like, damn.
Yep. Too much is never enough, unfortunately.
For sure.
Ended up
hitting you some charges?
Yeah, ended up getting a year and a half, but I had 9 months good time. So I had like 7-8 months that I had to do maybe.
Okay. What were the charges that you were slapped with?
I had a burglar of a building because nobody inhabited
theft
it.
Or anything like that?
No.
Oh, wow.
And I'm sure they could have hit me with that.
For sure.
But maybe because I was honest about, how I stole it and everything.
Was this like a first time offense, or had
yes,
you had
no,
you've never been in trouble before?
Yeah, I've never had. I've had a couple PIs and stuff, but I mean never, to where I'm getting locked up.
Right.
That was a little bit of a wake-up call, and I did have, a moment of sobriety through that because I ended up then going to a rehab then because they knew, I was drinking and stuff at the time whenever I did the robbery, and I had to do 6 months in a rehab.
By the time you went to jail, had you tried heroin yet?
I had done cheese a little bit.
For the people who don't know what cheese is, because up until you said it, I didn't even know what cheese was. Can you kind of break down what that is?
Cheese is where you get a piece of heroin, you put it on any kind of surface that you can dab some water onto, and then you break it down. You can use any kind of crushed up pill to mix into it. The most popular one was Tylenol PMs. That's how it started. People have used all kinds of niacin, bars, Xanax. I mean, you name it. The liquefied heroin, you mix it into the powder and make it become a powder, and yeah, you end up snorting it then.
Okay, so that's what cheese is.
Yes.
So by the time you went to jail, you had dabbled in cheese before, okay? So then you got out and...
Well, I got out. An acquaintance of mine was a meth dealer. I ended up getting out. I didn't want to live with family at the time. It's crazy because at the time in jail, there was people around me doing stuff, but I just didn't have a desire, you know? And a couple of them would ask me, hey, do you want to hit this? I didn't want to, you know?
Also knew you didn't have like a ton of time, no sense in
Exactly,
on charges,
exactly,
call it
yes.
contraband, it
Yeah.
just makes the whole situation.
Keep my nose
because
clean,
if you get caught smoking or something, man, that's another charge, you know?
Right.
And it's not worth it, man. If I really want it that bad, I can wait a few months and then I can
Right,
still
yeah.
do it.
What was it like, getting back into, whatever substances you were using as soon as you got out of jail, and then you said you went to rehab right afterwards? Did you feel like your experience in rehab, how did that affect your view on drugs?
I mean, at the time, I really, I thought it was going to be done, because I was like, I'm here, I need to get serious, because if I don't get serious, I'm going to have to do this again, or even worse, I might not get the chance to do it again.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I've always taken it to heart, but it's as soon as I got back into public, I was like, I can do it again, I was like, I'm done having to go through that, and I wasn't really ready to change. I wanted to keep getting high, and keep going out there.
Dude, like I mentioned in my first episode, is like, AA preaches it all the time, NA preaches it all the time, you have to want it, you have to want it, you have to want it. And it's just like, it was so repetitive and it got on my nerves so much, but it is so very
It's
true.
true,
You know what I
yes.
mean? I remember when I finally made it up in my mind that I'm actually really going to be done with it and mentally psych myself out for it. It was easy, bro. It was easy.
It's easier than you think, yep.
But unless you truly want to get clean, bro, you're going to go back
right.
every single time.
You have to really want it, brother. I mean, like you said, you physically, mentally, emotionally,
Gotta be
all the
done
way
with
across.
it, bro.
Yes,
Gotta be done
yes.
with it.
I ended up then going to an acquaintance's. He was a meth dealer, so I was able to always, get meth anytime I wanted to. Ended up living with him then for a few months. And after that, I was like, okay, well, this is done now. And moved back out, to family and everything. And ran into another acquaintance at the time.
That's all it takes, bro.
Yep.
That's
all
it takes, man.
You just need to run into the wrong people again, and those people are the wrong people, but you go back to them. It's like the saying goes, it's insane. You do the same thing over and over expecting something different. I finally realized that, I can't keep using expecting that life is going to work out and I'm going to be happy.
You're kind of just
But
banging
you-
your head in the
but
wall.
you will surely try it. You will try
that's
and try
the
and try.
crazy part, bro.
But-
That's the crazy part.
I mean, it's obvious that life is just going to continue to fall apart, but you think you can hide it, you can make it work, it just doesn't work out
No,
like that.
it never
And so-
does.
So when you got linked up with that guy again, did you plan on using, or did you say to yourself that I'm not going to use?
No, I wanted to hang out with that acquaintance for a while instead, so ended up using with him, we would go out to the acquaintance that was the dealer, we would get meth from him. But eventually the meth got, was like, okay, we want to do something else.
I'm tired of staying up for 5 days on a row.
Well, yeah,
The cops are going to kick down my door.
Right,
Hell no.
and on top of that, we need something to come down at times too,
Right.
and what better thing to do than heroin? That acquaintance that I was doing heroin was the same one that I had originally done cheese with. We started dabbling in heroin. That then ended for a while, and then I met my wife. I hate myself every day for it. I had kids with her and everything. Fucking lost the kids. I'm not with the woman no more now, and drugs have, taken a lot from me. I wish, now it would be now, that I would have another chance, but, it's not a game life. You don't get another chance.
You just keep pushing in the right direction, bro, and I promise you, man, God works in mysterious
Oh,
ways,
yes,
bro.
sir.
It
Yes,
can all
sir.
come back to you, bro, I promise. And from what I see right now, bro, it's coming back to you.
I'm hoping, brother. I'm always keeping that door open. That I'm
we're
gonna still
hoping
get to
for
see
you,
the
bro.
kids and everything.
We're hoping for you. So like you
And
said,
not
so-
trying to pull back, 'cause that's a beautiful sentiment. I just want to say that, to begin. But then just kind of doubling the back into it. Like,
Right.
What was your experience? You say you started, dabbling with the heroin. What did that look like? Did he just, pop out with some of it and just was like,
Yeah,
"You wanna hit
he
this?"
asked us. He's like, "Man, I got some cheese," and we were like, "What is this?" He's like, "Oh, well, it's heroin." And he's like, "Do y'all want to try some?" Like I said, I've always been the type of individual just looking for that next high. Then, I ended up trying, and I was like, this feels great, I remember just sitting in his room all day on this couch, just in total bliss, and just feeling good. And I was like, this is the shit right here.
This is it.
You were smoking it, I imagine?
No, snorting it.
Okay.
So is this tar heroin? Is this
Yes, black tar, but
black
you
tar.
make it into a powder then,
You know
so
what?
you can snort it. You know, and that was great. But eventually, then the cheese, you know, it started playing its part. I was living then with a dealer, different dealer, and he was a heroin dealer.
The worst kind, bro.
Yep. And I was hanging out at his house one night, and it was late, you know, so I knew I wouldn't be able to go get my pills to make a mix. And I had seen plenty of people burn it and then draw it up into a needle, and I was like, you know, I got good veins, so I'm about to hit me.
So were you nervous?
A little bit, but as soon as it entered my bloodstream, that nervousness went away, I can tell you.
That
And I felt,
nervousness goes from you being completely nervous, probably shaking, like I was in my case, to just...
not a care in the world, Evan, not a
like I
care.
said, I don't try to glamorize drug use here, but yeah, like I said, there's a reason. You know, that feeling...
It's being real,
to
though.
somebody who doesn't know what heroin is, I mean, think about, like, I'd say, like, closest thing, maybe an orgasm. And just go 10 times harder
little bit
than
better,
that.
yeah.
That lasts a lot longer. I mean, tell me that doesn't sound intoxicating. You know what I mean? But so, you know,
But it's real, though. That
yeah.
is real.
So after you slammed it for the first time, at any point was it ever associated with any sort of like guilt or shame, or were you just in too happy of a place?
Yeah,
to
there
give a
was
damn?
no guilt or shame at that time. Nowadays, you know, I mean, I look back at it and
Right.
I'm like, I don't know how I lost my way, but, you know, I know everything happens for a reason too. And I am happy that I can, you know, look in the mirror nowadays, you know,
You
and
share your story right now, bro.
yes,
Like,
and be proud of the man that I am, you know.
100%.
Ivan, at the time, brother, I mean, it was total bliss, man. Did not have a care. And like I said, at that time then, I was willing to take from whoever, do whatever I needed to, just so that I continue getting that fix, man.
When did you start to get to a point where you were like, needs to stop, I don't want this anymore, I want this to be over?
Eventually, all the drug use and everything led to me being homeless. And I went through a whole winter being homeless. That was hell, you know, and that woke me up, though. That woke me up. I was like, if I don't change now, this is what my life is going to continue being like, and this is too hard. I don't want to do this.
This sucks.
It is, because you don't know where you're going to sleep. You know, if it's going to even be a warm place to sleep, you don't know where you're going to get your next meal. You fucking smell like shit all the time because you can't take a shower. I mean, it's just, it's hell, man. It's not no way for anybody to live. When I see people nowadays out on the street, I do take heart because I know how difficult that is, you know. That is a hard thing. But I also know, though, there is always help, you know. If you are really willing to change the way that you live, there is plenty of places that you
Resources.
can go to. Yes, exactly. That's going to help you,
Just
you know.
you just have to want to get
Yes,
clean.
you just have
Truly.
to want it. Yes, sir. Everybody's rock bottom is different,
For
you know?
sure.
That's a good point, because I remember, you know, like, even being around when Evan was hitting some really deep points in his life, and I remember from the outside looking in thinking like, well, if that doesn't get him straight, like when is enough going to be enough? And it really is true that, like, I think that's well said. You know, everyone's rock bottom looks different.
Yeah, it's true.
And for you it was one thing, for Evan it was another.
Some people going to prisons are rock bottom. Some people getting homeless is the rock bottom. In my case,
Some people need to lose loved ones or something, you know,
Right.
in order to wake
some people
up.
lose their kids.
Yep.
In my case, I was about to lose my wife. You know what I mean? And I knew I was well on my way to doing that. And so that was enough to shake me up and say, hey, you know, I don't want to lose this woman. You know, I've done enough to push her away. Now I got to bring her back. You know what I mean?
Right. So shortly after that, you know, I told family, you know, hey, I'm serious about getting clean.
And did they believe you, or did they think this was?
Well,
just
no,
another one
I
of those
told them.
times?
I told them my plan is to move to Colorado because that's the only way I'm going to get away from the people, places, and things. If I am still anywhere in Texas, and, you know, if I have a string of sobriety, there's going to be days I'm going to be like, man, I want to do something, and I'm going to end up doing it. Moving up here, at the beginning, there were times, you know, that I did have cravings, but there was no way of getting it.
Unless
I
you're
knew.
hopping back on a plane to Texas or something.
Yeah, but I knew I wasn't going to be doing that, Ivan.
So you came out here, bro. So you came out here and got clean, got straightened out. Did you have any family members or friends out here, or were you just by your
No,
lonesome?
by myself. Just by
Sometimes
myself.
that's just the best way to do it, man. You know, like
Sometimes you need to start over like that, Evan, you know?
Your family will coddle you a little bit too much. I know I definitely did that with Evan. I let him get away with a lot of stuff because I loved him.
The family will enable you because they love you, man. They don't
My
want to see you
wife-
hurt.
I was too young to understand even what it was. And I was
Right.
all of 15 years old when this is all going down, maybe even a little bit younger than that. So it was confusing.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
a lot.
you're thinking, I love this person, I want to help them.
Right.
But, you know, in your case, just like you said, you know, being away from it was probably the best for you. Had you even heard of kratom at this point? Where does kratom fall in the picture?
I had heard about it back when I was living in Texas. There would be
from
times.
who? I'm assuming from people in recovery as well.
My ex, she told me that she knew a friend of hers, and he would mess with kratom from time to time. said that, it does help, with coming down off of heroin and stuff, but the guy never used heroin either. So ended up trying it one day, ended up taking half a bag. Maybe on the spectrum, it maybe took off 20% of it, but then still 80% of going through everything. So I never, really gave it much praise at the time. But about 6-7 months ago then, when I went through my divorce and everything, I got down to a low place again, and I was like, I don't want to start drinking. I don't really want to, fall back into drugs or anything, or go look on the street, see who can, help me get dope. Or I don't, I was like, I'm not doing all that again. I knew about kratom, I knew about the potential benefits that it served and everything. And I was like, you know what?
Gave it another try.
Yeah, this is better than having to go mess with a drug dealer, than having to wait forever for him.
Bro, that was the most annoying. Oh my God, bro. If there's one thing I don't miss, is just waiting in those parking lots.
Oh my God.
I'll be there in 5 minutes.
And they're on tweaker time too, so they're not going to be there for a while.
Oh,
And
exactly.
I would be
my
the
God.
most impatient guy, you guys. I mean, I'm serious. You tell me 5 minutes on the dot, 5 minutes, I'm calling, dude, and I'm blowing your
Calling
shit
a couple
up, bro.
times,
And then I talked to Evan about this too. There's that irritability that comes with you,
And anxiety and everything,
Right.
Ivan. I mean, it's hell, brother.
It's insufferable. I
It
remember,
is, brother.
it is. You're just always cranky. You're always angry.
There's just nothing like it. It's just absolute misery.
It
bro.
is,
you know what I
bro.
mean? How crazy is it though? Like you could be going through like this withdrawal and have these insane cravings, but the second you see your dope man's car pull up, bro, it's just like all goes away.
Not just that, but I knew if I
wild,
was
bro.
on the way to go get it,
You're good.
I'd be
Feeling
feeling
better.
better.
Well, me not so much. I think 50% of the time, yes, because then you get there, and then what happens if you didn't wait?
Then
Or
I'd
what- or-
start feeling
or-
sick again.
Yeah, then you start feeling good. So I never really truly felt better
Mental, bro.
Until
The
it was in
mental,
your
bro.
hands.
Until it was in
Yes.
my hands, until I was getting into his car or whatever. Like that's when I started feeling instantly better.
The train of thought was basically that at this point you were already trying to get clean.
And you
figured,
did
let's
not want to go.
kratom.
You did
Let's-
not want to go back to that and chasing the drug dealers down and everything like that. So,
Exactly.
So you just decided to give kratom a shot. Is that when I met you?
Yes, yeah.
Let's
yep,
go.
Yep.
You came to the right place.
Damn
baby.
right.
Hey,
damn
at the right time, too.
Did you see that helped with your cravings?
See, yeah, I've not had cravings, for a good, couple years now, and I thank God. When I first moved here, probably the first year I probably have, but being here now for 3 years, I mean, I can tell you right now, I have no desire to ever want to mess with any
love
of
it,
that
man. I
again. I know that life is way more beautiful when you have, eyes that can see, and a heart that can feel. Truly today, man, I have love for people again. I want to just help people, But at that time, Evan, I was
You
like,
needed to release or go back to dope.
exactly, I like to stay active, and unfortunately, I put my body through bullshit sometimes.
See, man, when you dabbed me up earlier, bro, you about freaking broke my hand. I was like, damn, bro, this dude's cut, man.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, no.
Kratom, I mean, is really, man, I mean, it is an awesome miracle plant. I mean, it's amazing how it helps with pain. If you do have cravings, yes, it will help with that. I mean, I can take some in the morning, and it'd be good, to the afternoon. Then I'll take a little bit in the afternoon to put me through and I mean, it's all-star because, I'm able to do whatever needs to be done still.
Fully functional.
Yes, and the pain that I have, it's totally subsided. It's barely even noticeable, But then as soon as I don't have any again, that's when the pain starts perking up again. I don't feel good, But the thing I like about it too is you can do it. You're not gonna nod off. You're not gonna have a crazy come
Right.
down, or you're gonna just be like, you you have to have more. And
It's
I mean,
just not like that.
no, it's
exactly.
not, and I love that, man. And it's easily readily available. You don't have to go try to meet somebody that's sketchy or anything, or wait forever. You just go to the business, you purchase it, go home, and then you do your thing. It's awesome, man.
And you can feel good about yourself.
Yes,
can
bro.
look
You don't
yourself in
feel
the mirror
negative.
and-
Yes,
and
exactly.
Not have that burning hatred towards yourself.
Exactly, because it's a
Exactly.
clean feeling too. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not like where you start feeling angry and stuff. It's a nice calm.
No guilt.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely no guilt. That's inspiring, bro. That's intense. You know what I mean? Like, would you say that kratom did completely help you? Keep you from going back to your
Oh,
old ways?
without a doubt. I mean,
sure.
without a doubt, bro.
Likewise,
Yes,
man.
yes. To this day, if I would not be able to get kratom to help with pain, I would fear that I would go back to drinking or something, or something even more
Shout out
intense.
to you, bro. We're not drinking this entire time, too. Especially,
you,
bro.
brother.
You could have turned this whole thing back around, man. You know what I
I
mean?
think it takes a level of self-awareness too to
Yes.
be like, I can't just have like a beer or two
No,
because
you
I'm gonna
can't.
slide right back
Yeah,
into
but-
it. And just knowing how you act. When
That's a
that.
good point too, Ivan. Because I notice whenever I drink, that's when the cravings then start
Right,
to want to do other
exactly.
crap again.
Yes,
It just
right.
starts then, bro. And it's not worth it. It's
Right.
just
I
not
always
worth
tell people, alcohol really makes you the worst version of yourself. You
For
think
sure.
about
For sure.
the common ways that people behave when they drink. They get just unbelievably immoral. They get aggressive. They get lie, cheat, and steal. It is the trademarks of somebody
One of the
who drinks.
worst things that my mother's told me is when I drink, I become like my father. That's horrible, you know, because I'm a way better man than that man was ever
Yeah, you
gonna-
are, bro. Yeah, you
or
are.
ever will be.
Damn right,
And
man. Because you turned it around, bro. Like,
well,
you
yeah,
didn't
and
bother. You lost everything, bro.
me being their son, I need to have love from my mother because she needs to have love from somebody, you know, even if it's just somebody that she gave birth to. I need to be the man for her, you know.
And
You
I
know,
don't think it's just the person that she gave birth to. It's especially the person that she gave birth to. You know, that's a bond that God instilled in us. The
Yes,
fact
sir,
that,
yeah.
And no matter what happens, you're always gonna love your mama. Like,
yeah,
that's
she's always
something.
gonna be mom, bro, because you came from that woman. You know what I mean?
And you cleaning yourself up makes you available to her. You know,
Yes,
and that,
yes.
how is you becoming sober affected the ones around you?
My mom, you know, she finally can trust me nowadays, you know, and she knows when she gets older now that I'm gonna have her back, you know, and that was one big worry of mine too when I was always using is I'm gonna be a piece of shit. I'm not gonna be able to help family out. Like, what am I doing good here? I mean, I'm happy that I finally woke up, you guys, and you know, finally turned it around because I mean,
I'm telling you,
I
man,
was
that-
lost. I was lost, man.
And now
Seriously.
you've been found, brother.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
when I met you, you were in a tumultuous time in your life. So I'm telling you right now, bro, I'm very, very happy that you walked into the store that day, man. And you know,
I'm happy I walked in today and seen you, bro.
As you heard in my intro, I do work in the kratom field, but I've been passionate about this for a long time. And the Kill the Stigma podcast is not associated with any company, group, entity, anything. You know, this is me and Ivan doing this on our own with real people who have been through the struggles.
Our
Doing through this
money,
with
our
companies.
stories, our space, our
Doing it on
friends.
my own time.
Obviously, you know, you're there for your mom a lot, and that's a beautiful thing.
That's beautiful,
you know,
bro.
and I'm sure you put her through hell. I don't have to tell you that, you know, and I'm not
Unfortunately.
going to drag you through that, but I'm sure you're well aware of it. You seem to be a pretty self-aware guy just in general,
Right.
so at least you have the accountability to go back and do that. What was it like picking up the pieces of your addiction?
Yeah.
You have to build trust, you know. It takes a long time because you have moments you start shining, but then you fall back into it, you know. And after so many times like that, you know, people begin to doubt. It takes a while.
Understandably so.
Well, yeah, you know, because they're like, you know, we've been
Put all
through
this
this
faith
again.
into you, and then you cut them down every single time.
Exactly. After a while, it gets disheartening, you know. People just become like, well, whatever. You know, if he really does it, then he really does it. But I'm not going to be surprised
Not
if he
holding
doesn't
my
either.
breath. Exactly. Getting that trust back.
Yes,
from
you
people.
know, and also knowing that I'm not keeping them awake up at night. 'Cause my mom would tell me, you know, when I was using heroin, she'd get worried if she'd get a phone call in the night,
Damn,
praying
yeah.
that it wasn't me, you know, overdosed or something, you know. I don't like putting loved ones through something like that. Each little thing like that was just more reinforcement into the armor to wake up and, you know, finally, you know, be a man, you know, and stop being a child.
When you think of addiction, especially people in active addiction, you think that withdrawing is like the hard part of recovering. But when you really stop and take a good look at it, that's actually the easy part. That hell that 3, 4, 5 days is nothing compared to once you sober up and you finally come back down to earth and you have to look back at this
The wreckage.
line of
Yes.
destruction that you've caused over a couple years of addiction, you know what I mean? And then you got to go and repair relationships. You got to repair everything. And I remember it used to suck, man. Building that trust back, like you said, was insane because I remember, and it was so disheartening. I remember the one time I cleaned up for maybe about a month, maybe 5 weeks. And I remember thinking to myself, like, being proud of myself, bro. Like, I did it, man. I'm really starting to put some clean time together, whatever. Meanwhile, everybody around me is still suspicious of it. Like, okay, we're just waiting on him to screw this one up. Like, okay, well, he's not going to go much longer. And I remember thinking, like, damn, it is so hard to stay this clean for this long. Nobody's even happy. Nobody's
Right.
proud of me. Everybody, I'm like, damn, dude. But it just came back down to you have to want to stay clean. I just knew that by putting together more days, more weeks, that, you know, it would all come back to me. And sure as hell it did. You can destroy people's trust overnight, but it takes forever to build that stuff back
Oh,
up.
it
You know what I
does,
mean?
bro.
For sure.
But you know, family is always gonna love you unconditionally. They will always be there. You know, my mom would trust me a little bit here, then trust me with a little bit of money there. You know, then trust me to go do this for a little bit.
It builds.
Yes, you know, and strings together. After a few years, you know, my mom was like, okay, he really has changed, you know, and it's also just how you carry yourself and what you do with your life too, you know, not just staying sober, but you know, like how you gentlemen are doing, y'all are starting to do a podcast and everything, you know, it's about the actions that you start laying out that really show people, okay, he has changed and he is
Because now
doing
you're
something.
not just busy staying sober, you're so far past staying sober that now you're starting to actually build a life like
Yes.
how you should be.
And you have that ambition again. You have that desire to be creative and go out and do stuff again.
I see that in him all the time too.
Yeah.
You, and if Evan wants to expound on it, you know, feel free to as well. Was there a point I want you to share with me that where you felt like you were able to like really appreciate the benefits from being sober for a little while?
Yeah. You know, knowing that I'm not stressing out family no more and keeping them up at night, you know, just being able to have a conversation with my mother and look at her in the eye. You have a good heart to heart, like a real heart to heart. Be normal. Yes. So now I hold that so sacred because it's been forever. Like I was a child the last times that me and my mother were like that, you know. Wow. And it's just now again like that. For me, that's just more fuel on the fire to continue going the way that I am now, you know. And I mean, I'm truly happy, you know, and I have to thank the Lord again because if I did not have the spiritual faith that I have, surely I would not be here today, man. Amen, you know, and He has kept me alive through a few things, you know. Like I have.
There's a reason why you're here, bro.
Yes, brother. Yes.
This might be part of the reason, dude.
This is part of the reason, for sure, for sure. It's always trying to help, you know, guide the next person out of darkness.
What do they say, like in recovery, AA, the only way to keep your sobriety is by giving it away.
That is true. That is true.
And that's basically what we're trying to do here, you know what I mean? When I realized that things were really starting to fall back into place and things were getting better, it sounds little, but I remember I had a $100 bill. And, you know, I'd been clean for some time. And I actually was able to keep that $100 bill in my wallet for, I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and it got to the point where I was finding reasons not to spend that money. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to break it. I didn't want to break it. You know, when you're on dope, bro, that money literally burns a hole in your pocket, bro. Like they say, like little kids, it burns holes in their pocket. Like no, like literally, you know, the second you got any bit of money, like just go straight to the deal, dude, straight to the deal. So like to be able to keep that $100 bill on me, I wish I would have just keeping that $100 bill. That definitely stands out to me as one time that like I was like, man, you're really doing the damn thing. And then it gets better, bro. The more you do, the more it stacks up. Like,
the easier it gets too. Then
easier it gets, the more you want it, bro. The more you want it, and the hungrier you get to get more. And
because you start seeing life open.
Exactly,
to you, bro.
And then you start trying to do everything you can to stack as many successes between this you and that old you, and that'll separate you two. You know what I mean?
Tell us about some like good habits or good things that you kind of have replaced all that time that you had chasing dope.
Iron, boy.
Yeah, I really want to, here in a couple more months, I really want to join the National Guard and try to get into the SF community. That's something that
there you go, man.
That's really on my heart, and I've been training for it for a couple years now. And I'm sober. Here in 2 more weeks, I'm going to be completely clean off of marijuana too. So I mean,
that's awesome, man. And you look good. You know, I'm not going to ask you to take your shirt off, but I'm just going to assume you look almost as good as me.
Maybe not as good as you, but close.
Some might even call you the third best looking guy in here.
All right, good. As long as I'm a third. As long as I'm a third.
You know, you're 2 weeks off of weed too, and I think that's a part of the journey. Is
yes, sir.
Addressing these things that could be a problem, even if they're not right now, and having the foresight to put it away and live a life that's really clean and honest and in line with what God wants us to do.
Ivan,
well
you
said,
speaking
dude.
the truth?
Well, that's where it went with me like 6 months ago. You know, I'd already been off opiates for a long time, but I'd been drinking a lot. You remember when the Avs went to the Stanley Cup?
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
It's not like Bronco games where they're once a week. You know, it's every other night, dude. And I mean, we were putting alcohol
just shy
down.
Of blackout drunk almost every night.
I mean, every other night, bro. For me, and I remember
I remember the sequence. It was drink for the game.
Be hungover
the next day off, I'd be hungover, and then the next day off would be a game, and I'd start drinking again.
I remember when we won the Stanley Cup, I felt exhausted with the team, bro. So we went to the Avs parade up in Denver, and we're riding the little tram up there. It's 7:30 in the morning, and I'm over there. I got my backpack on. I got a bunch of beer. I got a bunch of liquor. Crack of dawn, dude. And I was just telling Lauren, my wife, I think after this I'm going on a little sober run. You know, she wasn't forcing me to, stop drinking or whatever, but I knew that my relationship with alcohol had to change. And like you said, just for the greater good. You just
put yourself in a better place.
Put yourself in a better space. And I had no idea. Like, dude, my life instantly started getting better. In the 6 months that I have not drank, whole different life, bro. So,
all that stuff, Evan, is just Satan's stronghold, man. That's all it is. The more you use that stuff, the easier he's going to be able to get to you. You know what I mean? You're not a good person, bro.
And you see and you recognize it before it becomes a problem.
Yes.
I'm not quite where he is. I'm a little bit more than 3 months sober myself. I haven't tested a drop of alcohol.
Hey, yeah, brother. That's
in full disclosure. I don't have a strong history with alcohol problems. It's probably one of the longer stints of sobriety I've had for a while because I was a very
Ivan. If you're not careful though, brother, it can always get to that one day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that was kind of where I was at. Right after that Avalanche playoff push, too, I was in the same place. I was tired. I knew I had to fix my relationship with alcohol. Because at that point, it really wasn't even fun anymore.
No, exactly.
It doesn't.
Physically
repetitive.
taxing.
Yes,
Yeah,
bro, because it tears your body down, brother.
And so right now, I'm not going to even go into the specifics of it now. I had some unfortunate events happen to me recently, and I've been pretty devastated about it. But I remember when it happened, my dad, he was like, do you want me to go get you something to drink? And I remember that was like a moment where I was like, I can either do what I've done my whole life.
And he meant well by it. My dad meant well by it.
It was just, it was a loving thing as like a guy to another guy, basically.
Right, a bro, another bro.
And I remember thinking, I was like, you know what, I appreciate what sobriety has given me so much. I believe that in the 2-3 weeks that's passed that I have been hurt, avoiding alcohol has made it significantly easier to deal with because I don't go through those emotional high and lows.
Right.
When you're drinking, you're fine. Then you wake up the next day and then you're sad and hungover. And that's the worst.
You have to keep doing it
so
again.
You just got to drink some more.
Yeah,
I've just leaned on kratom. I've completely stayed away from alcohol. I thank God every day for giving me the
earlier.
wisdom to do that.
You said it makes you the best version of you. The way alcohol makes you the worst you. Kratom brings back that good.
What are the
opposites? I'm able to live a happy, successful, fulfilling life with kratom.
Oh, you can do kratom. You're not going to black out or nothing from it. You're going to stay coherent. You're going to be able to function still properly. When you drink, a little bit too much. I mean, it's too dangerous even to go in the car. Then you know what I mean. You can't do too much when you're drinking. Besides, stay at where you're at.
Not only am I not doing bad things, I genuinely believe like when I take kratom, I become more loving. I become more genuine,
empathetic.
I want to tell people kind things instead of just like talking crap all the time. And that's something.
He'll take his kratom and then get on his phone and start texting people, just random people. Talking like,
I did.
I
do the same thing. It's crazy.
I brings out the best parts in you, bro. Like, yeah, dude.
I notice a lot of people who take kratom, they tell me the same thing.
Yeah, because you one of them more talkative.
Beautiful, bro.
Yes,
bro. Filled with love that's overflowing, and you gotta put it.
Yes, bro.
Gotta give that love, man.
You want connection, then. You want a connection.
Connection. That's a good way of putting it. I love to have like intimate talks with my family, like tell them how much I love them. I was able to have a conversation with my sister the other day about how much I love her. Legitimately, in my entire life, that's the first time I've had a conversation with her like that. And I credit a good amount of that to kratom and where it's put me in a position where I could do that.
This is freaking sick, dude. Yeah, no, exactly. That's 100%, man. It's 100%.
Oh, yes.
We are not paid actors in here, dude.
No,
like, this is
all real.
Coming out of the heart.
In-life experience.
Real.
This is
out of the
real,
heart.
bro.
Yes.
I mean, Mike, to just kind of wrap this up right now, man, what would you tell somebody who is on the fence about trying kratom? You know what I mean? Like, what would you tell them?
Oh, definitely give it a try, I mean, it's not going to hurt you, You'll be okay,
Might be the best thing you ever did.
It definitely will be compared to anything else because, like I said, I mean, you'll still be able to function on it. You can still take care of what you need to take care of, You're not going to black out. You're not going to have a crazy come down. Yeah, it is beautiful. And like I said, I mean, it truly does help with pain, and if you are trying to get off anything else, definitely give kratom a try because it definitely can help you.
There's people like Evan, Ivan, and Mike here to help you out. Don't be afraid to reach out to us, man. We will be more than happy to help out.
Long story short, you heard it here first. Stick around. You might have a laugh. You might learn something. You might just hear some cool stories. Mike, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you again. Thank you.
I enjoyed every moment
yes, sir.
of this conversation.
Yes, sir. And it was an honor again.
It was our honor, bro. Believe me. This has been the Kill the Stigma podcast. I would like to thank everybody for sticking around with us this long. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with anybody you know.
Tell your friends.
Tell your people.
Share it.
Kill the Stigma podcast. Later.